Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans, and we have our Week 2 preview coming right up. The first game happening tonight, I will be there, and then we got games happening on Friday and Saturday through this weekend, Week 2 of the CFL season. Again, make sure you guys like, share this video around, and subscribe if you haven't already. A majority of our viewer base, around 60%, isn't subscribed, so if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do so now. So, Rick, what is the story of this week? Is that we are 1 week into the season and we have a bunch of beat up teams going against each other.
Beat up teams isn't even a word.
Yeah, it's like that is the memo, I guess. Is that
let's just put it this way. If you thought week 2 you'd be seeing Nick Arbuckle and Matt Schultz on your bingo card,
like that would be your
you'd be running to play the lottery.
Yeah, no, that's we got a bit of an interesting situation here. So let's start off with the first game of the week, which is BC versus Winnipeg. Winnipeg with their home opener, their first game of the season after they had a bye week in week 1, which was hilarious because the CFL put out a post being like, who's going to be the most outstanding Canadian this year? And because Brady Oliveira hadn't played a game, they couldn't put him in the top 5 or whatever. And so then they listed all these other players and they're like, guys, wait until all 9 teams have played a game before we start keeping our eyes open for this. So Winnipeg versus BC. BC with a very strong showing last week. And with BC, this is the return of Buck Pierce to Winnipeg, now as the head coach of the BC Lions. Nathan Rourke looks to be more in his 2022 form than kind of what we saw last year. If you're Nathan Rourke in the BC Lions, you want to see that continue. The BC defense did a lot better than expected, and then even got some really great performances out of the receiver core. Stanley Berryhill looked very, very good last game, along with a few others. But Rick is snapping because he has something that he wants to say. Is that right?
No, something I forgot to send you.
Oh, is it the depth charts?
It is.
You're sending him what, Discord? Yeah, awesome, lovely,
yes,
lovely,
sir.
Lovely. However, before we go through this, Rick, do you have any beautiful injury? Well, not so beautiful, but do you have any injury reports you want to go through for this game?
So instead of listing everyone's injury, I'm just gonna do the ones that are out, because the ones that are available, there's no point of reading those ones
unless they're like Pat Neufeld on Winnipeg, where they're a game time decision.
Yeah, game time decision or questionable, I'll still include them. But if they're available,
so let's start with the Lions then.
Okay, so Adam LeClaire is out.
Also, give positions for those wondering.
Oh, yeah. Linebacker and shoulder.
Yep.
Jeremy Lewis, linebacker foot, out. Maximum Royer, linebacker hip, out. Deshaun Stevens, linebacker hamstring, out. And Josh Woods, linebacker knee, out. How many linebackers?
So a lot of linebackers out for BC. Jeez.
They're all linebackers.
However, they still have their starting 3 with Hladek, Awe, and Williams. Williams off of a freaking scary hit last week where Arkell Smith just about got blown up, which Williams got a penalty for that. Didn't like it, as I didn't think that was a penalty. I thought that was clean, but so.
One thing that I was going to mention that you forgot to mention is that this is game 1 of 2, because it's actually 1 of 2 home and home series.
Yes.
Because you guys turn around and play them again next week.
Yeah, I can't remember if we play them a third time this season down the stretch, or
no, you guys don't.
We don't. So it's just a home and home to start the season for Winnipeg against BC. And these could be very crucial games if you think about it, because BC and Winnipeg these past few years have been very, very close in the standings. And so these series against each other and the points against each other can sometimes be the difference maker of, who wins the West, who wins the West semifinal, like who has home field in certain spots in the playoffs. If you're Winnipeg and BC, these are two teams that are very much expecting to be back in the playoffs. In terms of what the team, their organizational expectations are, and so yeah, no, I think that
Also, do you
I think these
remember
games are important.
Jordan Terrell last year for BC, the running back?
Vaguely.
They brought him back.
Okay.
I mean, he only had 24 yards, 3 carries, 3 games,
Shall we
and
take
they
a look at
released
the
Funwick. Nothing to look at it.
Bomber injury report?
Yes. Okay, so Peyton Logan's still out. You said that he's probably not going to be back till sometime
Yeah,
later on
I
in the
heard
year.
potentially week 3, but we'll have to see as more information comes out.
So he's running back thigh.
Is he not practicing or anything at all either? Or?
No,
No.
all
Okay.
these people except
Well,
for
then maybe
Neufeld
not.
are all did not practice at all.
Yeah. Well, then
Jake
maybe not.
Kelly did not practice. He's DB
Safety. Yeah.
knee
Yeah,
out.
he's safety for us. Yeah.
Enoch Makonzo, again, this guy was on our 6th game last year. This guy, I want to say, is the most injury-prone player I've ever seen in my life.
More than AJ.
Oh, this guy was with Edmonton, and he was injured, and then they put him on the practice squad.
And what was the name? Sorry.
Enoch Makonzo. And then we signed him off Edmonton's practice roster, and then he got injured with us, and then we put him on the 6th game. And then we released him in the offseason, and then you guys signed him.
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, no, he played 16 games in 2022. 2023,
Okay.
he played 6 games, and then 2024, he didn't play a single game.
Yeah, because he got injured in like the first game or two.
Of like it must have been in the preseason.
Well, no, because he was on the practice squad, and then the first game that he dressed for us, he got injured, so he didn't even get a tackle.
But was that a preseason game, or was that a regular season game?
No, it was a regular season game.
Okay,
but he didn't even get a stat. Though.
He didn't get any stat. Jeez, they didn't even count as a game played.
So then you have Josh Haggerty, DB, thigh, out. Eric Lofton, who Carter just found that he's on the 6th game.
Yeah, I knew he was injured. I didn't realize it was the 6th game. Ugh. That's
and then Pat Neufeld is knee offensive line questionable.
Yeah, I on the depth chart he's listed as a game time decision.
So my major question with this
is... for those who are not aware, Zach Collaros will not be playing as this is his 1-game suspension.
That was gonna be my question is, we all know what Streva can do, and obviously there's gonna be a lot of rushing this game. Matter like 100% because Strevler ain't gonna go throw the 300 yards.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I imagine that the Bombers are going to adjust. That Jason Hogan is not going to be even able to play maybe the normal offensive playbook that he'll even want because it's Strevler in the lineup and not Collaros. And I have reason to believe that that this is probably going to be the way that we're going about this. Like in the sense that I think the Bombers are going to be we're going to really try to get that run game going because if they can't get the run game going, they're in big trouble against BC. As with Strevler, he was able to get some good connections with Wheatfall in the preseason, but then again, we were talking about a backup. Second string, some guys didn't even make the team. Saskatchewan Rough Rider defensive line coming at Strevler. Now we're talking about the Lions defensive line, which looked very good last game. And now we're dealing with a Winnipeg offensive line, which is even less healthy than we were hoping. And so this
it's bad. And it's bad when Dylan Mitchell gets a healthy scratch.
Yeah, no, the offense for Winnipeg is going to be a challenging part of this game. Is getting that.
I did send you their depth chart, by the way.
You didn't say. What'd you say?
I did send you their depth chart in Discord.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, the offense for Winnipeg is gonna be the tricky thing here, just in the sense of one of the big things that Winnipeg has done very, very well in is utilizing that receiver core and really pushing the field down and getting themselves in good positions where even if they're not, making that good pass into the end zone for the full seven, Sergio Castillo would get them some points even from afar, and so I think the Bombers being able to at least get into field goal range and constantly tacking on points in some aspect is going to be important. Brady Oliveira is going to need one hell of a game. We're talking about best player in the CFL. He's got to play like it, as this is where that's very much needed.
I think if you guys are gonna win, you guys will have to do like a lot of like the 4 or 5 short yard, maybe 6, 8 short yard.
Yeah, no,
passes and not
realistically,
go
when
for
it comes to
long
the
bomb.
passing game, we're going to maybe see a 10-yard possession pass, and that's about it, probably. When it comes to Strevler, maybe he'll occasionally shoot for Weefall, see if he can try to grab on that chemistry we saw in the preseason. But if Winnipeg is going to try to win this game, which Winnipeg is at a disadvantage in the sense of that their starter quarterback is out, in the same way that BC would be at a disadvantage if Nathan Rourke was out for them. Winnipeg's going to have to win this game with their defense. Jordan Younger was a fantastic defensive coordinator for the Bombers last year, and that defense was sometimes the difference maker in a lot of games. And it allowed them to play so well against BC to the point where, I don't know if you remember this, Rick, last year, there was a game where the Bombers defense straight up got a shutout against the Lions. The Lions went through an entire game, not a single point, because of the systems that Jordan Younger had. Now, we also had this guy named Terrell Ford that's no longer with us.
I mean,
that was very useful to that, but the majority of that defense is still there. And there even are some new pieces, like guys like James Vaughters, that have the opportunity to really kind of revitalize that defensive line. Whereas as good as the defense was last year, was the secondary that was predominantly the better part rather than the defensive line in terms of being the kind of the force that they had being years prior. So my hope is for the defense is that the defensive line is able to get some pressure on Nathan Rourke. And that's something I worry a little bit about. I had a lot of high expectations out of the Edmonton Elks defensive line. And last week they just couldn't get it to budge. And Nathan Rourke had all the time in the world to make the plays that he could. And when you give a quarterback like that the time, he'll make you pay. So,
I will say this is probably the first time in a while that we've seen both Schoen and Dembski in a lineup together.
It's the first time in a while we've seen Schoen in a lineup. He was gone like almost all of last year. He played maybe 2 or 3 games at most. So very glad to see Dalton Schoen back in the lineup. Not sure if I'm expecting big numbers for him in this game. Not really because of him, but more because of the guy throwing the ball. Again, it's not that I don't believe in Strevler. I do. I like Strevler, but it's that arm I'm concerned about. But if I were the Bombers, if I were Jason Hogan, I think this is an incredible opportunity to pull a little bit of trickery here on with the offense, in the sense of that they're a lot of games they're expecting you to just be handing that ball to Brady Oliveira and punching that down. I would love to see them fake it to Brady Oliveira, even have the offensive line, even maybe pull a guard, that type of thing. You really, really sell the Oliveira run and have Strevler just take it himself. As realistically, he's a durable quarterback. And so I think if you're the Bombers, I think you should use that a little bit. I think that might be a good card that you can pull sometimes if you really need that first down and you're close enough.
With how things have gone at practice this week,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be an asshole, but hopefully you guys don't lose Strevler, because then you guys are really fucked.
Yeah. That's not you being an asshole. That's you seeing the writing on the wall. No, trust me, as a Bomber fan, I'm aware that if Strevler goes down, we're in deep shit. Also known as, I can never pronounce your name, but Artipose, it's your time to give it a whirl, because I have more faith in you than Terry Wilson. And honestly, if Strevler and Collares are both ever down, you gotta try something.
Hey,
You know,
we can always fly out Jake Dolegala to you guys.
We'll take him. 7th round pick. You want it? maybe that's when Winnipeg signs Shea Patterson. Maybe that's when they sign him. You know.
What are the chances of Shea Patterson?
I don't know. We signed Dolagala, and he's a former Rider quarterback. We had Patterson signed for a little bit, so I wouldn't be exactly surprised.
I guess.
Weirdly enough, we signed
and
former Rider
so
quarterbacks.
one other person that I'm not sure of that I know you'll know, but I haven't seen, is Vavel. What's he like?
Yes, Vavel. Vavel in the preseason looked decent for Winnipeg. He had some decent runs. It was one of those things where the problem wasn't him. The problem is that he'd have a great run, and then they'd be like, and then we'd have someone with an illegal block, and that's now being brought all the way back. Or he'll have a great run, and someone will not be doing an illegal block, but they won't be doing a legal one either, and they won't be blocking at all. And so if you're able to get some half-decent blocks up in front of him, he's a decent returner. Like, certainly probably not as good as what I expect out of a guy like Peyton Logan once he's healthy, but I'm willing to give him a shot.
You want to see some interesting numbers from week 1 before we go into the
It's
Montreal-Ottawa game?
Alfred, though. Yeah?
Check your Discord and look at these numbers.
Okay, so yeah, you're sending me the penalty leaderboards.
Yeah. Ottawa, 12 penalties.
Look at that. Ottawa. Jeez.
Like, that's...
Oh, my.
It's interesting because these guys do, like... It tells you how many offense...
5 penalties on special teams. Jesus.
That's why I bring that up. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
And then the other one's based off of, like, the different kind of penalties.
Look at that. Winnipeg. No penalties in week 1, huh?
Edmonton and Toronto lead with the most offside penalties.
Well,
at least you know where Toronto's getting their penalties.
All in all, Rick, how do you feel about this one? We got to give our pick. I got to go with my Bombers.
I'm going BC.
I
get it.
I understand the reasoning. Because I'll put it this way: would if Caleros was healthy, would your pick change or at least be a lot tougher?
If Zach Caleros wasn't playing, then I would have a hard time picking this.
If he was playing, it would be a difficult one for you. Okay, that's fair.
Yes.
As much as I believe that we can get it done in Streveler got it done in the Banjo Bowl against Saskatchewan last year. So, we can hope. But anyways, that leads us into the Friday game. The Montreal Alouettes against the Ottawa not the Ottawa Rough Riders. They haven't been that for a while. The Ottawa Red Blacks. And, man, I had high expectations for Ottawa this year, but I don't know how I feel about Matt Schiltz playing this game.
Carter's like, oh, there goes my prediction of first.
Oh, my predictions were blown up after week 1. I've never seen something spontaneously combust so quickly.
No, I'm saying like your standing. Well, I mean, standing predictions can still happen.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it. I watched that Ottawa Saskatchewan game, and there's a lot of problems I can see with those Red Blacks team. So, but Montreal Ottawa. Home opener for the Red Blacks after their game in Saskatchewan for week 1. I like the way that I like the way that the Alouettes look here. No, like if we're looking like last week, they really shut out the Argos. Not in the sense of shut out like they didn't give up any points, but they really just kind of overall looked like the better team. And so if I'm looking here, Davis Alexander with a relatively decent game there. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So that's something where if you're Ottawa, you see that this is not he's not invincible in that sense. It's not like he won't make mistakes. This Alouettes receiving core is just brutally lethal. There are so many, really the Swiss Army knife. There you can get poked with here, you can get poked there, and poked here, and all sorts of weapons there. Sean Thomas Erlington with a decent game for them, which was very important after Fletcher was cut. So having the run game for them work was important. If we're looking at the Red Blacks here, despite the loss they had, Drew Brown looked great. Seriously, he threw for 400 yards. His completion percentage was good, even with 41 attempts. No interceptions, 2 touchdown passes with that. However,
no run
he's
game.
not playing this game. And so
No.
that was kind of your one saving grace in the first game, where it was a 31-26 win for Saskatchewan. The number one problem Ottawa had was that they couldn't stop any of the Saskatchewan offense. And so that's my concerns that I have for Ottawa, is not with their offense. Well, a little bit with their offense because there's no Drew Brown, but more so with the defense, in the sense of even with actually I shouldn't say relatively healthy, because Rick, what's the injury report here? Let's start with the Alouettes. They're the away team. We cover. We'll do that first. But then I know the Red Blacks one is lengthy.
Montreal only has 3 people on it. Dante Ruffin, DB, hamstring, out. Josh Archibald, who came over from BC last year, defensive line, hamstring, out. And then Nick Collender, offensive line, foot, out. And then we get to Ottawa. Drew Brown.
See, it's like that. It's funny when you say Ottawa. You know what it makes me in the injury list? It makes me think of like that meme where it's like Chris Jericho in WCW, where he has the list and it's going down to his feet, and it's like it's like that never-ending list.
So you have the next one is Eric Starzala, offensive line, head, out. Zach Palahos, offensive line, out. Sam Carson, offensive line, out. Nick Romick, defensive line, adamant, out. Aiden John, defensive line, knee, out. Justin Howell, defensive back, out. DeAndre Lamont, defensive end, out. Alonzo Ade, defensive line, elbow, out for the season.
Out for the entire season. Gone. Brutal.
And then Peter Ajay, long snapper, hamstring, out.
Damn, even got the long snapper injured.
I mean, with those kicks that some of them were missing last night.
Yeah, I guess they're getting a little more work than they usually do, with the fact that you would have. It's funny. I almost thought that Tim White was the holder for every ball that was kicked, because he just couldn't hold on to it, and so. I'm sorry, Rick. I had to do that. I could say the same about Nick Dembski at times. It's funny. It's all right.
But it will be interesting to see how.
Oh, Rick. Your video cut out. I can still hear you. I can't see you though. Oh, there we go. Now I can see you. Rick?
Yeah, I'm here.
What is that face you're giving?
No, your screen froze, and that's what you're like. You're like,
oh, okay. No, just because on mine, I'm just kind of like, huh? What is he doing? Oh my God. I don't know. Like all in all, though, this Alouettes Red Blacks game, Rick. Where are we looking here?
I mean, the only benefit, if anything, that Ottawa has, I wouldn't really say Schultz is a dual threat. I mean, Schultz can still win you games.
He has legs. He can move, though. He's not immobile.
No, but I mean, even with when he was our starter a few years ago, when I think it was when him and Jeremiah Mazzoli were on our team, it's just like I don't know. Like, he can get it done. I just don't trust him against this Alouettes defense.
Yeah. I think I gotta go with the Alouettes here.
I mean, that's where I plan on going.
All right. Well, that'll bring us to the next one, which is the Saturday game. Which the first of two Saturday games. My apologies. The
Game one of Saturday.
Calgary
And
Stampeders take on the
this is will
Toronto
be interesting.
Argonauts. Argonauts home opener.
So the interesting thing is I'm pulling double duties on Saturday.
Yes, I heard about this. You're going to be going because I believe they're giving out. Are they giving out
Replica
replicas?
Grey Cup rings.
Yeah.
But also, I'm doing it to support the CFL in general, and I want to see an extra CFL game.
Yeah, so you're staying till what, halftime the first game, right?
Halftime, jumping on the train, and then driving back from Burlington to Hamilton to go to the Ticat game. And our good friend messaged me today. He's like, "Oh, if Toronto plays like they did last week, I'll be joining you sooner than later." I'm like, "Oh,
Oh yeah.
yeah."
Oh geez.
Keep
Yeah.
in mind, no Kelly this week. Generic, they said no generic Grant, but they put Kelvin Turner on a practice squad. So part of me thinks that Grant will be back. Part of me says that he won't.
So we're gonna say Grant questionable.
Yeah. And then McManus is 50-50. That he could be out or he could be, because
this is a
he's
so he
still
is
dealing
a
with that knee injury.
game time decision.
Yes.
Yeah, and so like if we're looking here, I'm just gonna actually I should just pull up the game here. Hold on a second.
So while you're pulling that up, the thing
Actually,
that
can we get the
I think,
injury report at some point?
I mean, there's still Thursday because this is a Saturday game.
Oh yeah.
But the only ones that have not practiced, like did not practice both days, 2 out of 3 days, Gary Johnson, linebacker, pectoral.
He's got the Cody Rhodes injury.
Bentley Sanders, DB hamstring. Kalen St. Clair, DB hamstring. Those are the only 3 that do not practice on both days. Oh, and Charles Wiley is defense line of Kelly's. He's limited on both days. But what I was gonna say is last week Toronto did not have a run game whatsoever. They only had like 30 some odd yards. If they do not have a run defense this week, Mills is going to run all over them.
Yeah.
Not only that, but how much you want to make a bet that Vernon Adams is going to be pissed off this game because he never threw a touchdown last week. And I remember 2 seasons ago when the famous BC Lions came to Toronto, when he threw 6 interceptions. So it's going to be, are we going to get the Vernon Adams of old, or are we going to get the Vernon Adams of last week?
I don't know. I don't see that Vernon Adams of old coming to play here. Because like if I'm
so now for Toronto,
okay,
we have offensive line Darius Sirocco, foot injury, did not practice both days. There's still 1 more to go. Obviously Chad Kelly's not playing because they have Nick Arbuckle taking starter reps. Generic Grant is listed as limited, 2 out of 3 days because they still have 1 more. Whit McManus is limited with a knee. You'd think that they would sit him because it's so early on in the season. And I mean, if that knee injury is going to be bothering him all season, that's going to suck.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And then Donald Rutledge, DB head injury. He was limited Tuesday, but full practice Wednesday.
Like,
But those are the injuries for
Because if I'm
Toronto.
looking here, even just at last week, the Calgary had also gotten some decent success out of guys like Clark Barnes, like Reggie Bagleton, obviously kind of your mainstay there. Dominic Rhymes with kind of one good play, and they just didn't really target or throw to him. Do you expect more out of Jalen Philpott? Because this is kind of being a reoccurring thing of, will he be like his brother? Will he not be? Just because, like, that's kind of been a point of contention that I've heard kind of Stamps fans bring up.
So the thing is with Jalen Philpott, last week they only threw to him. Oh, let's go to Calgary, not Hamilton.
He
They only
targeted him
threw,
5 times. He only caught it
but he
twice.
only caught the ball twice.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing: is after watching last week's game, he started the game like something ridiculous, like 10 for 10.
Yeah.
You have to get him off his game. Otherwise, they're gonna eat you guys. They're gonna eat them alive.
Like you're saying, Calgary's going to eat Toronto alive.
Yeah, if you don't get Vernon Adams off his game, they're gonna eat him alive.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, Calgary looked very, very strong in that last game.
And I
Like,
think
even
they'll.
like with Hamilton losing that game, I didn't think that really reflected as much on Hamilton as it did on Calgary. As it wasn't really Hamilton being bad. Like, I mean, obviously there was no run game for
I
Hamilton
mean,
that
we had
game.
no run game
There was
regardless.
there were some issues there. But a lot of it just seemed like just Calgary looked like they were significantly better. And again, I think Calgary for a while has had the problem of not having kind of a team identity. And I think Vernon Adams kind of brings a bit of that to the Stampeders.
And I think they'll use Dominic Grimes more than once than not just
I
last
have to
week.
imagine. So, how are we feeling about this, Rick? I'm not gonna lie. I'm leaning towards Calgary here.
In my pick'ems that I sent in our pick'em league, I
See.
sent
I'm sending him
Calgary
this.
as my
I
pick.
send him after we record. That's how we do it. That's how I do it.
Yeah, but I sent him because I tried to do it the night before the Thursday game because then I have at least most of the injury reports.
I just do it when we record because it's just kind of routine for me. That's when I send all my
Yeah,
pick'ems.
but at least I have most of the injuries, so I know who's playing. Like so many people were picking teams based off of what they saw last week. I'm like, listen, there's still injuries. Like you have to
Yeah,
take that into consideration. But I'm going with Calgary.
yeah, yeah. No, I think Calgary kind of here definitively looks stronger in week one. But then again, we'll have to see. Toronto's got a lot of question marks in terms of who's going to be able to come to play. So we'll see here.
So
Which
you have just in the last week, you have had Anton Hay, Jason Javier Messier,
what are you
and
talking about?
Kyle Sexlid. Oh, these are all Calgary players. All three of them have been placed on the sixth game.
Yeah,
Um, as far as Toronto, um, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they activate Kadeem Carey this week.
you're okay.
Or
Whoa,
no,
whoa, whoa.
that's I'm thinking
You're
of the
talking.
wrong
Are you
team.
talking Saskatchewan or what team are you talking about here?
No, I was thinking Kadeem Carey, but I don't know why I was thinking Toronto.
Because he
Um,
used to play for Toronto, but I guess it just feels
yeah,
weird that they actually got rid of him.
yeah. I wonder if they'll play Haba this week.
Celestin Haba, maybe. Huh?
Calvin Turner, again, he was their returner last year, and they decided to place him on the practice roster. So that's why I think Grant will still be 50-50.
Yeah. I'm ready to go into the last one if you are.
Sure.
All right, last game of the week. Ticats
Hell
have
week.
their home opener.
Yes.
Saskatchewan versus Hamilton.
This is where Henley gets his jersey retired to the rafters.
Oh yes, you had mentioned that to me the other
Um,
day.
I actually went and got his hat the other day, and I got
Oh
the
yeah.
old school jersey from
Oh
like
yeah.
1980s, which was only like $75, so it was on sale. I'm like, oh, you know what? I might as well get that. So for injuries, um, CJ Avery for Saskatchewan linebacker bicep did not practice. Albert Awache, fullback hip, did not practice. Sean Bain Jr., wide receiver, did not practice. Thomas Bertrand Hudon, running back groin, limited, then did not practice.
Okay, so maybe that was the
Um,
reason that Kadeem Carey was signed, was because we thought that Bertrand Hudon was completely fine, but it sounds like he was even a bit banged up
Peyton
even when he
Collins,
finished that game.
Peyton Collins, who is the other Saskatchewan that left the game early last week, he's out with a knee
What do you
injury.
mean the other one? There was
Did
like
not
8 of
practice.
them that left the game from being hurt.
Okay, well, I remember three. Okay.
There was well, I can name 2 of them right. Actually, I can name 3 off the
Oh,
top of my
sorry.
head.
There was four.
Roland Milligan,
Sorry.
AJ Ouellette, and Keon Schaefer Baker.
Okay, sorry. There's four.
Yeah.
So he did not practice Tuesday or Wednesday. He has one more practice day. Jackson Ford limited both Tuesday and Wednesday. He's a DB with a hand injury. Roland Milligan, DB head. He was limited Tuesday, full Wednesday. So I'm sure he's possibly 50-50 because he has a concussion. Tommy Nealt,
Yeah,
wide
concussions are
receiver,
difficult.
ankled, did not practice. Um, Braylon Knoll, offensive line head, did not practice and limited. Koshi Anika, defensive
Onyeka, yeah.
back, knee, did not practice both days. AJ Ouellette, running back, head, limited full. And then Keon Schaefer Baker, wide receiver, foot, did not practice. So even though AJ Ouellette and Roland Milligan were both concussions, they've both been cleared, but it's just a matter of if they're going to play.
Yeah. Which again, with a concussion's a big fat question mark. So we got the rider side of things. Let's hear about the Ticats injury report.
Okay, so Suriman Bagago, DB hamstring, did not practice both days. Robert Panabaker, DB hamstring, did not practice. Reggie Stubblefield, DB knee, he still hasn't practiced. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, he'll be, because next week we have a bye week, so I think he'll be back for week 4.
Do you think who will be back for week 4?
Um, Reggie Stubblefield, the big
Okay.
uh, secondary Sam linebacker that we
Yep.
signed, big money for. Um, Guitar man, wide receiver, ankle,
You
did not
talking Wally?
practice. I'm talking Wally.
Yeah.
He did not practice Tuesday, but he was limited Wednesday. I'm wondering if if he's full Thursday, he may go, or they just may keep him out to week 4. And then Isaiah Wooden Sr., he had a hamstring limited. He's the one that had the 105-yard kick return
Oh yeah.
for a touchdown last week. But that is it for injuries.
So the Riders last week in the first CFL game of the season, kind of defensively, first drive, give up a bit more than ideal to Ottawa. Ottawa able to kind of strike. And then Saskatchewan locks in after that. It took them a couple minutes, but then they really, really got in form. And Saskatchewan, they looked dangerous. Now, again, they also looked like they were getting the crap beaten out of them in terms of injuries. Trevor Harris, 2 for 1, 19 for 2 for 1 in terms of touchdowns, interceptions, 19 for 26 in terms of his completion percentage. 277 passing yards, an average of 10.7. Not bad. Bertrand Hudon with 57 rushing yards after Ouellette goes down, but it looks like we may potentially. I don't know who we're going to see this game, whether it's going to be Kadeem Carey or whether it's going to be Bertrand Hudon. We know it's probably not.
We won't know until Friday.
It's probably not going to be AJ Ouellette, but we will see. Because again, like you said, it's likely that the Kadeem Carey contract was, we're talking a 6-figure deal, so it's not something that they probably brought in to be a third string.
One thing that I forgot to mention is the CJ Avery injury. He's been placed on the 6th game.
Oh, okay. I see. But yeah, like if I'm looking here for Saskatchewan, Samuel MLS for them last game was incredible. 8 targets, 8 receptions, 133 yards, 1 touchdown for him with an average of 16.6. He was just excellent for them. Keyshawn Johnson with a decent performance for them last week. Mitchell Picton did a very good job at being kind of a possession receiver for them last game. So a lot of offense coming out of Saskatchewan. And then Jameer Thurman was very much a thorn in the Red-Black side. 10 defensive tackles, 1 sack for them last game in their game against Ottawa. Now, on the Ticats side of things, Rick, I'm going to leave this more towards you. What did you like about your Ticats last week, and what were you not so impressed by?
So, I like the fact that we kept Vernon Adams not for getting any touchdowns. Our offensive line did well with Boley not getting sacked.
Yeah.
We got to clean up on the defense. We have to get a run game started. And
getting the run game going is going to be huge. That was something that Ottawa even struggled with last game against Saskatchewan, was getting that run game going.
I mean, Toronto, Ottawa, and Hamilton had no run game last year. 3 East teams.
Yeah.
Also, we need to get the defensive line activated for a rush at the quarterback. So sacks, tackles for loss, and we need to clean up the penalties, because I mean, that is what kills us the most.
Yeah, that was very much a problem.
But the question is this the week that we see Jake Dolegala as the short yardage quarterback?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, do they plan on using him? A 6'7", 242?
I forgot he was 6'7". I forgot he was that tall. Like, I knew he was tall. I didn't realize he was quite.
Screw quarterback. Throw him out there as a wide receiver.
Throw him out there on defense. You'll have him play D line and just have him put his hands up.
I mean,
he'll just have him whack shit down.
I mean, we already have him, or we already have a 6'8" wide receiver. We'll just throw another basketball player out there at 6'7".
Throw another basketball player.
We got our 2 centers and our power forward.
Yeah. Fair enough. Rick, you were telling me before we started recording, it's that battle between your head and your heart.
Yes, this is really gonna hurt my soul deep down.
Is Rick about to do the unthinkable?
Because I mean, I cannot see us, like, I don't want us to go like 0-6 like we did last year. Luckily, next week we have a bye week.
Hey, I don't want my team to go 0-4 or however we went like at the start of last year either.
Yeah, but you guys actually have. I mean, like, we have the potential to win this week. It's just a matter of we can put everything together. And
bit of a hard opponent for week 2, you know.
I'm actually I want Hamilton. I want to pull up a quote that they said for Milanovic this week. He says, "We got a huge game coming up on Saturday and we'll be ready." That's what they said last week, that they were going to be ready, that they practice everything, and we came out flat. So hopefully this week, because you know what? Listen, I'm gonna say it this way. I'm going to set myself up for disappointment and pick Saskatchewan. But then if Saskatchewan loses, then I'll be happy.
Yeah, no,
So,
this
I
is
mean,
another situation of where, kind of like last week, where I'm picking Saskatchewan, as I think Saskatchewan has kind of, at least they've shown on the field that they're the better team, at least as of this point so far. And so I think Saskatchewan is the pick that I'm going to make. However, as a profound hater of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, I am hoping that Hamilton can get it done against them.
so did you
Hopefully
realize
that one I'm not right about.
Did you realize that last week we each picked the same except for one game? You went 1-3. I went 1-2, or 2-2.
You went 2-2.
This week we both pick the same 3 games except for the first one.
Except the Winnipeg one.
So again, either one of us will look smart, and one of us will look really dumb, or we'll just both look really dumb.
Well, there's potential for
and
that.
And the games won't go our way.
So, I think that's all I got. Is there anything else you got, really, Rick?
That's all I got, my friend.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you have not already. Really, the likes help out. You wouldn't believe it. If you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure you guys leave us 5 stars. We very much appreciate all the support you guys offer. And make sure to stay tuned early next week for the week 2 review after all these games happened. And hopefully me and Rick have a good weekend, but you'll be hearing it if we didn't. So peace, love, and positivity, all you wonderful people at home, and we will see you guys next time. Touchdown!